The next one is what I affectionately call the Jew trappers. So you can all take this term away with you. So this is a term I coined recently to describe people who are obsessed with Jews, who think the Jews are behind everything, the Jews are ruling the world. And I used to think this way myself till I evolved out of it. So let me explain. The reason why I call them Jew trappers is because they're stuck in the Jew trap, right? So they're stuck in the Jew trap. They're stuck in this mentality that there's a Jew involved, and there's always a Jew to blame for what's happening to their countries, right? So they're stuck in this mindset, and I was in that mindset myself, and they feel that they're in like a higher level of consciousness. They feel they've got it all figured out, and they're at the highest level they can reach in fighting against this globalist system. And interestingly, before I continue, these people are actually the most vicious, aggressive and fanatical people I've dealt with on social media in the last 6 months or so, and by email as well sometimes, are people brainwashed into the Jew trap. So they're not Marxists, they're in another cult where they think the Jews are behind everything. And they're actually more fanatical and more abusive than the Marxists. Now, isn't that interesting? Because I've written a book calling out pretty much half the population of every Western country, including Ireland, right? In Ireland, there's, I don't know, there's 1 million, 2 million, maybe more in the Republic, brainwashed with Marxism of one kind or another. You would think that they'd come after me, particularly as I've done interviews to American audiences and Canadian audiences and Australia, New Zealand, you name it, any English-speaking audience, and also some other non-English-speaking audience as well. You would think that those people would come after me. And I do get some of them. I get someone might be like a Putin shill, or they think socialism is good, or they get offended when I criticize Irish republicanism or whatever it is. And they come after me sometimes, or sometimes there's people just with a big ego trying to dick measure with me, trying to compete with me. They don't like that someone's coming along with a more advanced take on this subject. And they haven't done it, particularly middle-aged men who've read a few books on socialism and think they have it all figured out. They might be interested in this 20 years and they haven't figured out the things I've figured out because they've come at it from the wrong direction. Even people like that, I've dealt with a few of those who've been, triggered by what I say, and they tried to start arguments and debates with me and stuff like that. None of those have been as bad as these people being obsessed with the Jews, that the Jews are behind everything. Actually, the reason why I'll explain why it's wrong before I continue to focus on that, first of all, is this, particularly in Ireland's case, you got a population of 5.3 million people in the Republic, with a population of about just under 3,000 Jews, right? So there was an election recently in Ireland, and even though the Patriots did their best, lots of canvassing, lots of people involved, lots of candidates and all and so on, there was still a massive portion of the population who voted for mainstream parties, right? Now, unless there was cheating and some vote fiddling going on, it seems to be there's a lot of people in Ireland who are just stupid or brainwashed or have no conscience to support these globalist mainstream parties. The vast majority of these people, mathematically over 99%, are not Jewish, right? Now, this is the problem with the conspiratorial brain. People will say that, but they're behind the scenes and so on. It's quite a huge subject, but it's based on the distorted perception of reality. And I was in there myself. There are problems with that group, but because of the size of their group, they're so small in the world that mathematically speaking, they can't be to blame for what's happening to Western countries. And indeed, as my work shows, Marxism as an ideology, the vast majority of people pushing this across the world are not Jewish, and the Jews are like any other group. You'll get some who are Marxists, you'll get some with more conservative views, and everything in between, and it's just like any other group in the world. But these nut jobs in Ireland are a real problem, because first of all, they come after me because they say, yeah, well, where does Marxism come from? Because they think it comes from the Jews, which is another logical fallacy. It doesn't. Someone brainwashed into thinking the Jews are behind everything will find them all the time, right? So they're a Jew trapper because they're stuck in the Jew trap, but they're almost trying to find the Jew and catch the Jew. So that's why they're a Jew trapper as well, right? They will find Jews everywhere, even within the Marxist movement. So you look at Ireland, the amount of people in Ireland brainwashed with Marxism, I don't know how many it is. It could be a couple of million. Again, mathematically speaking, these are not Jews. These are Irish people who are against racism, who want climate change, who think feminism is all about making women happy and it's good for women. Irish people as well were involved in the abortion referendum in 2018. Now again, someone obsessed with Jews will find one or two Jews involved, but what about everybody else? Don't they take any of the blame as well? The irony of this whole thing is that people actually, they brainwash the idea that Jews are trying to rule the world and that they control us like sheep. And these people are saying that no, this is true. They're almost controlling us with mind control. They're actually backing up the argument that you would think that they're against. What they're saying is that Irish people don't have any agency, or people across Western countries don't have any agency. They don't have the ability to think for themselves, and so we need to blame the brainwasher. This is nonsense. I'll be the judge of this. I'm the one who's a specialist on Marxist brainwashing, and I'm telling people to at least consider what I'm saying and to get out of that Jew trap and to start looking at people who are in this Jew trap as being a problem, because they actively will try to derail the nationalist movement. They're just as bad as the Marxists, and I've been studying from the last 6 months again, provoking them sometimes with my communications or replies and stuff on X in particular, to study them and their behaviour. And it's my estimation that they're more fanatical than the Marxists, and they're totally convinced that they're right. Now, I used to be in that mindset myself years ago, but I wasn't a fanatical, abusive nut job about it. One of the attributes of people in this group is they look at anyone who doesn't agree with them as being some sort of a subverter or a crypto Jew, which I've been accused of being, which makes me laugh. But one of the most damaging things that they do is they try to dismiss or derail my work, because they think, and this is my last point before I move on, they think that that for argument's sake, if it was true, right, if it was true that the Jews create Marxism, they think that it's more intelligent to talk about where it came from rather than talk about who's brainwashed with the ideology today. That's incorrect, and again, I'll be the judge of that. These people are constantly getting in the way. They want to drag you back into history. Again, it's all based on distorted perception of reality, but they'll gradually always drag you back into the past and so on.